Hi, I'm Lindsay from Shreve Memorial Library and welcome to Art Club. Today we're going to paint Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog by Caspar David Friedrich. He was a German romanticist. Now, you might notice that this looks a little bit different than the other stuff that we're doing. That's because this was painted in 1818, which is way earlier than the other stuff that we've done so far. Everything else we've done has been from like the 1880s on. This is way more realistic, you notice. And this was before the camera. I tell you all the time how the camera made such an impact and people started adventuring and making things that were less realistic. Well, this is before all that. It is German romanticist, which means here you see the guy in the painting is contemplating nature, the spirituality of nature, that kind of thing. I'm not going to go into it too far. It's realism. And we are going to tackle it today, and I promise it's really not hard. All you need is, all you have to have is a pencil, an eraser, and paper. I have watercolor paper because I'm going to watercolor it afterward. I also have this, you see this in most of them, this is a liner pen. I might line it. If I do, it will be after I paint it. So we'll see. This will be the adventure portion of our painting. I also have a little set of watercolors. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is put our central figure in it. That's the guy in the middle, right? And to do that, I'm going to draw a stick figure. I know, rocket science. Okay, so if you're looking at the painting, which is what I'm looking at, his head hits, above the half, close to, not quite, 2/3 of the way up. And so I'm just going to draw kind of an oval in the middle. And I'm going to do this light. You should be doing this light because we are really going to be erasing that. Okay, so we're going to have an oval. And then we're going to put in his shoulders. Okay? And all I'm going to do for that is draw a line. And they're not completely straight. They're close. So here, and I promise we're not going to end up with a stick figure. So there's his shoulders. I drew that too high. They go that way. Okay. And then his right arm is kind of, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's see. His spine will come down here, kind of in a straight line. And then let's see, his foot hits, what about here? So I'm going to bring this down. We can always adjust it. We'll say there's his foot. And then on the other side, we have his other leg, which is bent. And what I'm looking at over here is my reference, which is the painting. And so I'm going to bring up his leg over here. And down here. Remember, we can always adjust this. And then there's his foot. Okay? And this one's just kind of like there. Now this arm is coming from his shoulder. I'm going to do this. He has it cocked to the side. And it comes down about a little bit before his hips. We'll say it's there. And then this one comes kind of straight down and then bends in a little bit. And this is kind of the skeleton of what we're going to be doing. Now what we're going to do is draw around it. So we have his hair, which comes down like that kind of. And then it's whipped to the side by the wind, and so I'm just going to kind of do little squigglies there. Okay. That comes around, and then here's ears. They just kind of, let's just make them even. There's ears. And it comes down like that. I think we're going to end up bringing that hairline down. And then below that is a collar. So I'm just going to draw a little line there. Kind of a little box, right? And then below that we have his shoulders, and they slope down a little bit. We're going to go around these stick figure arms, and that's kind of going to be a skeleton. So we have the arms are kind of ruffled, and so they come out, and just don't draw a straight line. And this comes out like that to the elbow, right? And that kind of smooths down and comes in. And the same thing over here. This is a little bit rumpled too. Maybe that's the wind. And it comes down, it gets narrower like that. And inside there, his coat comes in a little bit like that, and then it starts flaring out. Okay, and we're going to mirror that over here kind of, but it's all going to be really the same color because that arm is so straight. So I'm going to put this here, coat goes in, and then starts flaring out. Okay, and then it ends about where this knee is, right? And so to do that, I'm going to draw these lines down. That's pretty smooth there. And then I'm going to make ruffles. And the way I'm going to do ruffles is I'm going to draw a line like that, and then just kind of come out like that. Okay? Just so you can see it more clearly. So I'm going to do that, bring this down about to the knee, because remember we're drawing legs and things around this. Okay, I'm going to bring it down to about here. I'm going to draw it in, out like I just showed you. It doesn't need to be exactly like this. I'm just showing some rumples in his, some little flowy businesses in his coat. Doesn't need to be even. Ooh, that is, don't do it like that. That's not what we want. This can come straight down and go like, ugh. Not like that either. We'll get it straight. There we go, that's better. Those are way too even though. I did that before. I'm gonna get rid of this one. And then just kind of do this one wavy. Better. Okay, so there we have his coat. And now we're going to draw, let's see, his kind of flips out like that. And then his knee just kind of comes down like that, right? And then this side is his thigh comes like here, and then his leg goes like that, and then we hit his foot. That's too much of an angle, and it's kind of like that. That comes out more. And then over here, this is kind of angled actually. I'm going to do it from about here, and it gets thinner, and then it comes down to about here. It's pretty straight, right? And it just kind of ends there. So here's our guy. You can go ahead and erase these extra lines if you want, or you can save them till later. See, that wasn't that hard, was it? Oh yeah, we have his cane too, which I completely forgot even in the traceable. And it comes down, we might have to erase some of it. It comes down like right against his robe, his coat just about, and it goes to about even with this foot. So just draw a super narrow line that comes down to about his foot. Okay? And I'll start erasing these extra lines. Okay, I've got it erased pretty well. If you notice, I moved up the angle of the arm because I thought it looked funny. Your mileage may vary. Okay, So next up, we're going to draw the stuff he's standing on, okay? Now, we're not going to go for all the details of the rocks, but we're going to go for some of them. First, we're going to give him the space that he's standing on. And this just kind of comes like that, okay? And then it comes out a little bit, right? That, and then it starts angling down like that. And it comes back out here, in. There's some grass right there, right? Oh, we didn't bring that out enough. That's why we have an eraser. Okay, there's our grass. Now erase this. Okay. And then there's this other big rock over here. Right now I'm kind of just drawing the silhouette, and we'll go in and add a few more details after. And there's that, and there's more grass there. So this comes down to about here. And we have this jagged bit coming up here, and it hits him about mid-thigh, about there. So this comes up like that. And then I'm trying not to make it too pointy. And it comes up like that. But make it look jagged. Don't make it look too clean either. And then, okay, I'm gonna bring that out a little bit. And then this comes down like that. Crosses the cane. And then comes down to about this level. And then this guy comes out and comes down, and then this guy over here. See how I'm just kind of like following the lines as best I can? I mean, we're not going to end up with the exact thing because that's not how this works. Okay, so there's the general silhouette of what's underneath them. And I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup erasing, not too much. And just make it look a little bit jagged down there. Okay, so let's go ahead and add just a little bit of detail to this, and we're really not gonna do much. All we're gonna do, still need to get that part. All we're gonna do is add some lines where it looks like there are cracks in the rocks. And we're not gonna follow all of the painting because that would take a long time, and this was done in oil paint, and we are just doing it in pencil right now, and then we'll just use watercolor. So we're using a completely different medium. So here's what we're gonna do. Draw him back in. Okay, so let's see. Here's two rocks joining, right? So we're just going to draw a little jagged line in. And let's see, there are some cracks coming up in here. Jagged line here. You see what we're doing. We're not doing anything too serious. Draw some from the edge so it looks like there's a crack in there, and then here there's more, and these can come on the other side or not. And then this comes down here, and there's some cracks there too, and then this comes down like that. Let's see, this guy continues over here. We're going to bring him up. Jagged line down. There are a couple more here. This is just making it a little bit more interesting. Okay, and let's put in some stuff down here. Because if you look at it closely and in the right light, you can see that there's way more detail in there. The main thing is just to make it jagged looking. So he's definitely on some jagged rocks. And then put some lines in it. You can do horizontal and vertical. Let's see, I'm going to put one more down here. It's up here, kind of squared off. Okay, and that's really all I'm going to do for the bottom. There's like some striations in those rocks, some cracks down, all kind of details, and you can put in as many of those details as you want. Like put that in, and anywhere like anything meets anything, there's going to be something. So you put in as much as you're comfortable putting in. That's where I'm going to leave it. So here are the rocks he's standing on, right? And behind him, he has this vast landscape with a bunch of fog. So we're going to draw in a good chunk of it, but we're not going to draw in all of it. Because we're going to simplify it some so it's not overwhelming. Okay. So first, let's start. I think it'll be easiest to start like right here, because this pretty much comes up from here, right? And it doesn't go really past here. So I'm going to do this. It's just a kind of jagged line. And then up like that. And then we're just going to come in and put in some more lines. So this is going to take this down like that. And then there's this. And that's where that's going to be. Okay. And we're going to kind of draw in the mist too. So here's what I'm going to do about this, is where it kind of looks like there might be separate rock, I'm just going to draw a jagged line down, and sometimes I'm going to put in some horizontal lines too, so this would definitely be one. Alright, and then just put some other lines in, just to show that this is a really interesting rock formation, and we just don't want it all to look exactly the same and uniform, because that's not the way nature works. Okay, so there's that. That's all I'm really going to do, and I'm going to draw the mist in down here, and below that is just going to be gray. So this is going to hit here, right? And then I'm going to draw just this kind of like wavy sort of jagged line like that. It's going to come all the way up to the end of that, and all of this is going to be mist underneath. Okay, there are also trees up here, so here's how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to put a bunch of detail in these trees. Okay, I'm going to do, let's see, here's a big one right here. Put this guy here, and he's about, well, I say big, he's about there. Okay, and then I'm just going to do like a zigzaggy type thing, and then kind of enclose it so I know where I'm painting inside. Okay, so here, I'll do one bigger. So I'm drawing the tree, right? And then I'm going to come down like that. And then you can just kind of like enclose it a little bit, because these are trees in the distance. We don't need to put a bunch of detail into them, but it's nice to have something to color in with the paint or the crayons or whatever you're going to use. So that's all I'm doing here. Like, I am not doing anything complicated. And we're just going to put some trees down here of various sizes, but this is the biggest one, so use that as a gauge. And let's see, put one down here. Just kind of drawing zigzags, and put a few here. Kind of more scribbly than anything, aren't they? There is no reason to do a bunch of detail in these. Okay, and that's all the trees I'm putting there. Still have a couple more over here, but we will get to that when we get to it. So over here, this hits a little bit lower. It goes about here, okay? I'm going to draw a line up for this first one, and it comes up about to here. So this one's taller. This comes up and then down, and then this kind of steps up, step up, up, and everything you see is kind of like boxy. It comes back down like that. All the way down like that. This is not exact. Okay. I kind of like had extras here, so I just kind of drew them in. The aspect ratio of what we're doing here, like I'm doing an 8x10. This is narrower, like the painting is narrower, and so I'm just kind of like having to stretch things out a little bit. Okay, so here we're going to do the same things that we just did over here, and I'm going to draw some lines. I'm going to make some marks horizontally. It's exactly the same situation. Okay, that looks good. And now I'm going to do the same thing over here with the mist. Okay, and I'm just going to draw the same kind of wavy thing. It comes up here and then goes all the way to his knee. Okay, so this is going to be rock, this is going to be mist. Behind this is a little taller rock formation. It goes up to about there. So let's see, we'll just bring this over here. It comes up like that. That. And then, actually I'm going to bring it down a wee bit earlier just so it'll be easier to paint. So this comes here. Should probably be just like that. You should probably be drawing lighter than I am. And we are going to do the same thing that we've been doing and just mark lines where these rocks might meet. Okay, and that's going to be lighter than the rest of it. And then up here we have hills, mountains here, and then we have some mountains behind it. We've reached the really easy part. So let's see, these hit him about here, right? I'm going to draw the hill before I draw the mountain. These just kind of come up like that, okay? And then the mist comes up like that. I'm going to do exactly the same thing on this side. This hits here. It comes up about the same angle. Doesn't need to be, and then comes back there. Easy, huh? Okay, now there's this rock sticking up over here. That's all I'm going to do for that is pretty much this, but with no detail, really. So I'm going to do this. It comes up and meets that, the end. That's just going to be gray. And behind here we have some mountains. So let's draw this guy like that. Comes down there. This guy's taller. He goes up here, comes down, crosses our guy's head. This one's smaller. It comes up here, almost hits the guy's head, and then comes down. And there's one more here. Oops. Oh well. And then it hits here. And we have finished the drawing. I told you that would not be that bad. Okay. So, and remember, you can go in and add as many details. This is going to be a really dark color, so I'm really not worried about it. You can add as many more details, things as you want, but this is all I'm doing. So, here's what I'm going to do. I am going to make sure that I don't need to erase something because you cannot erase pencil once you watercolored over it, or really I think once you've gotten it wet. So I'm going to go up, I'm going to be sure where I want my lines, where I want the borders of where I'm going to paint to be. I'm more concerned about eraser lines or pencil lines in places where I'm not going to be painting dark, which is pretty much the mist in the sky and like this area. So, and I mean his head, but otherwise it's pretty dark. So just go, make sure you're happy with your drawing, erase what you need to erase, and then we will get to painting. I've erased what I needed to erase, and I put some ruffle lines up in this jacket because I forgot to. And now we're ready to paint. The first thing we're gonna do are this light yellowy kind of orangey color, and that is his hair and this bit that looks like it might be being hit by the sun. And so here's what I'm doing. I'm gonna make, well, this is, I think this is a very orangey yellow, yellowy orange. So I'm gonna do this, and then I'm going to use the complementary color to gray it out a little bit. And the complementary color is blue. So I'm going to add the weeest little bit of blue. Make sure that's not too much to this. And it's going to gray it out some. Remember, the complementary color is the color that is the opposite of the color, your first color on the color wheel. We've done some color wheel, especially with the Vincent van Gogh Starry Night. And yeah, so that just kind of toned it back some, and that's really not a bad color. So I'm going to go ahead, and remember, watercolor dries lighter than it looks when it's wet. So I just added a lot of water. This is orange with a tiniest touch of blue and a good bit of water. And I'm happy with that, so I'm going to paint this first because I know I'll get my hand in his head if I paint that first. And I'm just going to go down to this lower set of rocks. Like that. Oh, I forgot those trees. Oh well. We can always go back and add. We just can't subtract. That was easy. Okay, next up, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and do his clothes, and that's gonna be really close to black. Go with, if you have a black, if you have a Payne's gray, whatever you have. Looks like that's what that was. I don't want to waste that spot. So I'm gonna get Payne's gray, and you see, like, most of this painting is gonna be shades of gray. Some of them are kind of browny gray, but most of them are just shades of gray. So we need a lot of variations of it. This is going to be our darkest. Right here is his suit, which means we use the most paint. So get a bunch of paint, a little bit of water, and test it and make sure it's like super dark. I'm going to get it darker than that even. The more paint you add and the less water, your color is going to be darker. And if you need to, you can always do 2 coats. Just wait till the first one completely dries. So I'm going to paint his suit, and this middle part is just going to be dark too. There's the suit. I'm going to go ahead and do the cane too, because that's super dark, and I'm going to get a tiny brush for that. Next, as this dries, we're going to start painting this, but I'm going to paint from the bottom up and make sure by the time I get to this guy that at least his feet are dry, and if they're not, I'll just blow on them or something for a minute. The way I'm gonna do this part, because this part is dark too, but it's not like, it's warmer. It has some brown in it, so I'm gonna add some brown. Let's see. And to do that, so I have my black. A bunch of the black. Mine is actually Payne's gray, but that doesn't really make a difference here. And get a bunch of that. Always try to mix your watercolors at one time, so you're not like trying to match colors and having a hard time with it. I'm really bad about that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get some brown. I'm trying not to contaminate my colors too much. And mix this up. And now this is going to be another one that's mostly paint. And add some brown to it. Definitely not enough. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to paint all of this mess here and just be careful that this part is dry when I get up to it. Okay, there's that. I might go back and add some more paint to this once it dries. We'll see. Now, there's this part. Let's see, this part should be dry. Yeah, there's all this up here. And that is similar to this, but we're going to make that a little bit more brown. To do that, I have this weld from that was brown back in the day, and I'm going to pretty much make a similar color, but it's going to be more brown than black. Good enough. Okay, so now I'm going to paint this brownie color, and I will do my best not to get my hands in all this. There's that brown bit. And let's see. What's next? Let's do this first gray and that. So all I'm going to do for that is I'm going to get some black, or in my case I'm using Payne's Gray. Okay, and I'm just going to make it lighter than that, and that's all. So I'm just going to put some of this up here. I don't want it too light because we're kind of in the middle ground area already. So let's see. I don't want it too dark either though. That's pretty good. Okay, so without hitting all of these things, I'm going to paint these strips. Okay, now there's this little stretch of skin, and there's not enough of it for me to really worry about making it too realistic. So here's what I'm going to do. I have this kind of orangey color. I'm going to add a little bit of pink into it, just a tiniest little bit. We're going to just kind of see once we water it down. We might add some more blue into it. Or pink. This is just kind of a your mileage may vary situation. Whatever you do, that's actually not too bad. Yellow, blue, pink really works for Caucasian skin usually. It's usually like a cerulean. I forget the exact mix of it. I'm not one to paint people often. So let's see. I'll put this little strip here. It's really not bad. Okay. And now what I'm going to do, all we have left, so we have these. Yeah, that wasn't good. Let me do something about that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to dry all of this, okay? And then we're going to paint this just a lighter shade than that. And then we're going to start with the mist. I've dried my painting. This should be, yeah, I'm not messing it up anymore anyway. And all I'm going to do up here is a lighter shade of this. So I'm just going to get more black / Payne's Gray in my case, and more water. Let's see. Looks good. I'm going to paint these far off hills. Ooh. Also going to draw that line back in because that looks funny. And there are our back hills. Now all we have left is the mist in the sky. Now you see in the sky how in this area of the painting there's some yellow. I'm not going to put that in. You can, if you do, I suggest you do it with 90% water and a touch of like a goldy yellow, but do it after we paint the sky. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to dry this or wait for it to dry just to make sure. I mean, by the time I get down to it, it would probably be dry, but just in case, I don't want to take any chances because I like this painting. Okay, now here we're going to do the same thing that we were doing before, except, let's see, what I move in here so I'm not wasting. Bah, I'm just flicking that everywhere, aren't I? Okay, I'll get some more. This over here, you see it? Let me move it over some. This over here is going to be the mist in the sky, and it's the same color as before. I'm just putting in a lot more water. Even more. We want a lot of water in this guy. Let's sop up some of that. I just don't like wasting paint. We need a lot of it because we're going to pretty much cover everything that's white in the painting now with this color. That's good. So see how light that is? It's not definitely not white, but it's lighter than that. Okay. I'm going to go in and just start painting. And we're going to get all this done. Okay, I have all the mist in. Let's see if this is, it's pretty dry. For bonus points, you see how like streaky the sky is, where how you can see the clouds in there. I'm just gonna go in with this color right here. Just add some streaks. And you see how I'm doing? I'm just going back and forth. I'm leaving it pretty subtle because this won't dry much darker. Put some back there, some back here. Yay! Okay, so all we have left, can you spot what we have left? I'm gonna draw one in over here, these little trees here. And what I'm gonna do is I forgot the couple over here, so I'm just gonna draw them in after the fact, because remember, you can draw over watercolor, you just can't erase it. So I'm going to draw two trees in here, not touching wet paint. Just the same way I did before. Just line, zigzag down and back up, and then line. There we go. I know that's dry. As soon as I know this is dry, so I'm going to dry it to make sure. We're just going to paint the trees, like the leaves on the trees, or the pine needles, I assume. We're just going to paint them this color, but first we have to dry everything. Okay, I have it dry, and I'm going to go this brown, which was just that color. Just go in. I'm not being picky about where this goes, really. I'm just making it in the shape of a tree, kind of. Dinner at the top. There we go. Let's do all of these like that. And there are the trees. Now, I can call this done, but I'm not quite going to. I'm going to give this another coat of that mostly black browny color for this, because I just want it darker. If you don't want yours darker, then you're done. If you do, then just give it another coat. We'll see. And remember, it is mostly black with a little bit of brown in it. Just enough that you can tell. I'm going to whip this up in there. I've added another coat. I think I'm going to like this much more once it dries. But now I have to dry this so I can actually finish my painting by signing it. I do indeed like it more darker. So all I'm going to do now is in this corner down here, I'm actually going to use this color too to fix this cane. then some of it ran. So there we go, that's better. Okay, now I'm gonna get this as dark as I can, like straight off the thing, then sign it right down here. And there we go. Here is a completed Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog. And I like mine. I hope you like yours too. Now for the most satisfying part, pulling off all the tape. Let's see. Slowly, because I do not want to rip the paper on this one. I like this one. Pull off all the tape, give it that nice, beautiful, clean edge. Ooh, I took up some of it. Boo. And then we're done. That was awesome. Well, thank you for joining me. If you painted along, please take a picture of it and send it to the library social media. There will be links in the description. We love to see and to share anything you guys make along with us. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week at Art Club. Bye.